Mothflight's vision. Prologue. Help her! Horror seared through Mothflight's body as she spotted the blue-grey she-cat lying in the ditch beside the dirt track. Blood darkened the she-cat's neck, spreading fast through her thick fur. Her flanks trembled as she struggled for each shallow breath. Other feline shapes moved around Mothflight, hazy in the pale dawn. She snapped her head around as a hiss sounded beside her. A huge dark tabby reared and smashed his forepaws down onto a smaller black and white tom. "Why don't you help her?" Mothflight begged, but neither cat seemed to hear. The tom scrabbled desperately at the earth as the tabby pinned him down. Mothflight's thoughts spun. Is this a battle? But the other cats weren't fighting. Ginger fur flicked like flame through a ditch as a young tom raced to the she-cat's side and crouched beside her. Two frightened faces peered over the top of the ditch, ears twitching. Blood was seeping onto the ground from the she-cat's neck. "She's dying!" Mothflight yelled to the fighting toms, but they only snarled at one another more viciously. Dread shattered her heart. Mothflight raced towards the injured she-cat, her paws moving soundlessly over the earth. Early sunlight struck her flank, but made no shadow on the earth beyond. She slid into the ditch and stopped beside the flame-colored tom. "What happened to her?" The tom didn't answer. He leaned close to the injured she-cat until his breath stirred her ear fur. "Don't die!" Mothflight reached out to touch the she-cat, but her paw passed through the injured cat's flank as if she were cutting through mist. Dark fur loomed beside her. The great tabby had stopped fighting and had come at last. But as he pushed past her, Mothflight felt no weight. His fur brushed through her as if she weren't there. The two young cats, watching from the top of the ditch, climbed down into the shadows and stood, trembling, beside the ginger tom. She saw the tabby's mouth open and close as he spoke, but she couldn't hear his words. Mothflight held her breath as she saw the blue-grey cat's flanks grow still. "She's dying!" The sight of death sliced through Mothflight like an icy wind, and she began to tremble. She remembered Greywing's death just a moon ago. She shivered as she peered into his open grave, her heart twisting as she saw how small he looked and how dull his fur had become. The warm-hearted tom, whose fur had rippled in the wind, had been lost in death. Prey seemed to lie in its place. His clan had buried him, eyes hollow with grief. Yet at least the ceremony had given them a chance to say goodbye. "You must bury her," she breathed shakily. But the cats did not move. They only stared at their dead friend, hardly blinking as the sun lifted higher into the sky. The black and white tom watched from a few tail wanks away, nervously eyeing the tabby. "Don't just stand there!" Frustration raged through Mothflight as she tried to make herself heard. "Show her some respect! Start digging her grave!" No cat turned or even betrayed with an ear twitch that they had heard her. The sun lifted higher until its rays spilled into the ditch. "Are you going to leave her here for the crows to pick at?" Mothflight couldn't believe what she was seeing. Are these cats heartless? Suddenly, the blue-grey she-cat's tail twitched. Mothflight gasped, shock jolting through her. Had the wind caught the dead cat's fur? No! The blue-grey she-cat was lifting her head, looking blearily at the others. She tried to back away, but the mist seemed to entwine her paws, holding her still. She stared in disbelief as the she-cat spoke to the flame-pelted tom. She was dead! Mothflight couldn't make out the words, but she could see, as the cat's blue eyes cleared, authority in her gaze. It reminded her of her own mother's look. Was this the she-cat's group leader? How was she alive? The young cats moved away to let the she-cat stand as she heaved herself slowly to her paws. Relief washed over their faces. But the tabby only stared. His amber gaze betrayed nothing, neither relief nor joy. Mothflight drew in a trembling breath and began to run, clambering out of the ditch, her thoughts spinning as she tried to make sense of what she'd seen. A pale flash caught her eye, and she lifted her head, surprised to see a great green moth. Its wide, translucent wings fluttered in the breeze. Dawn sunshine flooded through them as they glowed bright as new leaves. She watched the moth dance away, realizing that beyond it she could see high stones. Their towering peaks glittered in the sunshine, and Mothlight narrowed her eyes against the glare, straining to see the moth as it fluttered toward them. Without thinking, she leaped over the ditch and began to follow the moth as it bobbed over the grass. I must reach it! She bounded after it as it zigzagged like a petal caught on the breeze, staying just beyond a poor reach. It pulled farther ahead until she stumbled to a halt and watched it fly away. Mothlight was surprised by the fierce longing in her heart. Wait for me! A wail caught in her throat. I want to come with you!